Hi everyone, this is Lakshmi, the founder of Everyone Who Codes. So welcome to our new YouTube session. Okay, we help software engineers land jobs through one-on-one mentorship and mock interviews with our team of senior FAANG engineers and hiring managers, making the job search journey simpler and more efficient. So before we get started today, we are here with one of our senior mentors who has worked in Microsoft and is currently in Salesforce. We will be focusing on answering questions about cracking software developer or engineering roles in FANG or other top tech companies in this challenging market. So Rajesh, thanks for joining us today. Could you please start by introducing yourself?
Sure, Lakshmi. So yeah, thank you so much for having me here. Hi everyone, I'm Rajesh. I've been working as a software engineer for over 13 years across a couple of domains like payments, travel, e-commerce, with professional experiences spanning around India and Europe. In my recent roles, I was off lately, I was as a senior software engineer at Microsoft L64, and I'm currently as a lead member of technical staff at Salesforce. For the past few years, I have also been actively mentoring engineers, something I'm really passionate about. And I have served as a senior member into the hiring panel at multiple companies, including FANGs, helping evaluate candidates for technical roles. So, yeah, that's a very short thing about me. Excited to share my learnings and hopefully give some practical insights for interview preparation and career growth.
Yeah. So thank you for your intro, Rajesh, and thank you for joining us today again. And I know today is a topic that we're going to talk about is for software engineers or software developers who are in the market. It's a very challenging market, we all know, in India as well
Yep.
as in the US, right? With things going on. So we will be definitely focusing on answering those questions. How do you go about cracking these interviews? Okay, in one go. Okay, so that
Yep.
is our main goal at this point of time. So we will get started. And
Yeah, sure.
yes. So my first question would be if there is someone who is considering a job search at this point of time, what domains or areas do you prefer? Should they focus on while they're planning their interview preparation? What are your
Yeah,
insights? Like, what is your advice? Would that be?
great. Yeah, that's a good question. See, I would say well, there cannot be a single standard framework for all. So it's very important to first understand what is the role that you are targeting. When you're planning a job switch, focus on the areas that are in high demand for that particular role and aligned with your career goals. So here, since we are specifically discussing about software engineer roles, right? So I would try to focus on the core aspects that a candidate is typically evaluated at.
Mhm.
So obviously, as we know, the first one should be the DSA, the fundamentals of algorithm data structures. The second core aspect is like the system design, and it includes both high level and low level designs. Third is deep dive into the past projects, understanding what were your past designs, projects, decisions. It's more important to cater to the senior roles, but yeah, it's also been asked for the fresher role as well from their college projects. Fourth is leadership skills, very relevant for the HD3 and above, like principal and staff roles. And yeah, I would like to say maybe the degree of focus on each area depends on the level you're targeting from HD1 to HD3 or principal roles, and can also slightly vary depending on which company you're targeting. Even at the FANGs, also the cadence of depth is a bit different for each of these domains. So yeah, a candidate should tailor their preparation to the depth and the type of problems he or she is likely to face into these domains, I would say, for a software engineer role.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for sharing your insights. I know it is very important, depending upon the level of experience that they have,
Yeah,
or where they or, or what they're looking for, whether it is FANG or other top tech companies, depending on those, you need to definitely focus on, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. What about going on to this one? What about what do you suggest, or maybe a defined timeline? Should anyone have, like, in terms of a job preparation, once so that you have increased chances of success, So
Yep.
it could be, of course, you define a timeline for a FANG,
That's
FANG coding round or something, or maybe system design round. If you can give me some examples, would be great.
makes sense.
Mm.
Well, having a defined timeline, it really changes how you approach the preparation, and it gives very structured and focus to your
Mhm.
preparation. Most candidates, I would say, they aren't fresh grads with years to prepare, like in the
Mm-hmm.
college days we used to have. They are working professionals, often juggling between the family and work. So the time in hand is very limited. That's the first thing to understand. So a clear targeted plan always helps prioritizing the high impact areas, track your progress, address the weak areas early, and making your preparation focused and effective instead of just scattered. Example, let me give you some snippet from my, let's say, from my experience as being a mentor and for the couple of candidates. So I've seen
Mm-hmm.
candidates who decide that, okay, I will prepare and then attempt the interviews at my dream company, be it
Mm-hmm.
XYZ. But without a defined timeline, the prepare can stretch for months. And life's other priorities, often get into the way and causing delays and even derailment. This has been the experience with a couple of my mentees, with friends, where I've seen. So I would say that it's always better that first analyze your current situation, assess your depth of knowledge, quantify how much
Mm-hmm.
preparation is realistically required, estimate the time you can dedicate considering your work, family, other commitments, and then add a buffer of around maybe 20% and plan
Mm-hmm.
your interview, or rather schedule your interview accordingly. The
Okay.
moment you do this, it will help you get a targeted approach. Of course, it
Mm-hmm.
also depends on the level you are targeting. For example, as you asked for different domains, for SD1, DSA is the most important metric. So I would say they need to spend good 3 to 4 weeks preparing for it, along with couple of weeks to brush up on the basic design concepts and prepare about the past projects. Because for SD1, the depth of DSA and also the breadth of the topic that can be asked would be great. But for an SD3 role, DSA can often be polished in a good 2 weeks kind of time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe a week should be spent on the LLD, and then more than 2 to 3 weeks on the HLD, because that's the core on which your level is decided. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe give equal importance to the past projects and leadership skills as well. So if you see, it's not like a one fit solution for all. It will depend on
Right.
what is your level you're targeting,
Mm-hmm.
what is the company you're targeting, at what level you currently are. Maybe I'm very good in DSA, but I need more preparation on designs. So that's how the timeline will be done. But this is a generic framework that people can follow and tweak the numbers as per the requirement. But this kind of targeted, timeline driven approach ensures that your preparation is very much structured, efficient, and goal oriented, I would say.
Okay, okay. So what you mean is like at least minimum 4 weeks to prepare for coding, right? For a FAANG company is definitely essential. That is what you were saying. And depending upon the experience or the level that they're looking for, right? Okay.
Yes, for SD1, yes,
Mhm.
4 weeks, I would say. For
Mhm.
seniors, I would say even 2 to 3 weeks is good enough to brush up the
Okay.
core concepts and all. But then
Okay.
that alternate time will be required into the HLD preparation and all. So yeah,
Yes, swim design.
a good
Correct.
4 to 6 weeks time frame is a standard
Yes.
time
Yeah.
that we always take to target the next
Got
company.
it. Got it. Got it. Okay. So now, yeah, thanks for answering that. But now with AI coming in and AI is doing the coding basically. So do you still think, core DSA concepts is still really important, very critical for cracking interviews, today? What do you have to say about that?
Uh, yeah, I mean, that's a very hot topic discussed around on the LinkedIn as well. So,
Yeah.
to give you see, no developer is really starting their day by inverting a binary tree, spending
Hmm.
lunchtime finding the shortest path with Dijkstra, or like ending the day with solving classic knapsack problem. We all joke about it. It's like, but having said that, DSA is still the first filter, whether
Yeah.
it's online assessments, whether it's hacker rank test, or whether it's like round one of your hiring day, like when you give 4 or 5 collective rounds. So it shows, because the importance is, it shows, as a candidate, can you think logically, optimize solutions, handle the complex problems under pressure. For SD1 roles, DSA is often the most important metric. You could say up to 80% of the evaluation is done on this metric. For senior roles, I would say it's more of a filtering round, but still
Hmm.
it's essential. You don't, if you're filtered here, you will not be getting the platform to showcase your design and the other
Yeah.
skills in the later rounds. So yeah, regardless of the level, it's very critical to prepare DSA well and confidently. And you mentioned about the AI thing. Yes, it happens. It can happen that many of the fans are encouraging the developers to use the AI coding tools at times to implement their solutions. But still, after that, you cannot just blindly copy paste it. You need to know whether it's correct or not. And to know something is
Mhm.
correct or not, you need to know the thing, right? So that's why, yes, AI is a helping tool. It's not a replacing tool for sure. That's what my
Yeah.
personal perspective is.
Mhm.
And one thing I would like to stress here, that DSA preparation is not generic. It's very much
Mhm.
company specific. Like
Okay.
some companies, without naming them, focus on the certain data structures. Some focus on the approach, how you reach the solution. But there are some big take FAANG companies which do expect perfectly running code within a time frame, let's say 17 minutes. You understand the code, implement the code, test cases are there, right? So it's important to tailor your preparation and depth of the DSA required to the company and the role you're targeting. But in general, yeah, this is the framework, and I would still like to iterate that, yeah, it's still a very quintessential part of our preparation.
Okay. Okay, thanks for sharing about the DSA concepts. With even with AI taking over the market, I think DSA is definitely vital. That is what
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mean, right? Preparing for DSA is definitely important at this point of time. Okay, okay. So I wanted to
Mm.
ask you a question like, in terms of DSA, and I see AI is taking over coding, right, in companies. So what about junior engineers? And I do see that not much job opportunities for junior engineers, right, at this point of time. So does that affect them and affect, their prospects as a software engineering, in this domain as such? What do you have to say?
Um, well, it's very hard to predict like the whole future thing, at least not in
Mm-hmm.
my capacity. So in my personal understanding, what I would like to say,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there are some metrics to show that the AI can do the kind of work which maybe at junior level engineers are doing, and maybe more efficiently, more
Mm-hmm.
quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I beg to differ that it's not the replacement thing. Could
Right.
be a helping tool kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
At times, there are a lot of boring, mundane kind of developer tasks that we developers have to do, be it like adding logs, unit test case, and all. At that place, UI do helps us. AI do helps us in
Mm-hmm.
implementing those solutions efficiently. But as I reiterated even before, there has to be a human eye to monitor that what it has implemented is correct and can we take it to our production, right? So yes, it cannot, I would not say it's a replacement, it's always a helping tool. And that's what couple of companies are like focusing on, using AI as a tool for developer productivity. Nobody uses AI as a replacement for developer. That being said, you said junior, you have to be a junior to become a senior. So the pathway goes like this.
Yes.
So you have to first join, work as a junior, and with your experience, you move up the ladder. So without thinking much about it, which is not under our control, I think it's more important that people focus on the preparation, get into a good working environment, walk along, learn, build on the base of the theories that they have learned, and build it from there. So yeah, that's my take, I would say.
Okay, okay. Yeah, thanks for yes. That is very true. I know unless and until people don't join as junior developers, you'll not have senior developers, right? That's how the it works, right? Any company. Yes, that's true. Yes. So yeah, so people who are just passing out college graduates. So it's a good news. It's not that your job is gone, it is still there. Junior engineers, people are still hiring, so it's never going to go back. Yeah.
See, I
Okay.
would like to add one point here.
Mm.
So the competition
Yeah.
could be fierce that maybe yesterday we needed thousands of junior developers, today we need
Mm.
500, but still we
Yeah.
need that 500. And
Yes.
that's where I think the platforms which helps to prepare, or even if you're paying self-preparation, preparation matters, that you have to be on the top of the ladder wherever you're competing. So
Mm.
yes, it will impact. Maybe the competition will become fierce. You need more targeted things to prepare. You need to like getting into a big company like a fan companies or ABC, whichever company. You need to know what exactly is required, because today maybe they're hiring thousands of freshers. Now they're hiring only hundreds, and
Mhm.
those hundreds, with the help of AI, each of the
Yeah.
junior developer will become 4x, 5x. That could be the scenario in the future. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating. But even for that, also you need those 100, and who will be those hundreds? Top of the ladder.
Yeah.
So as we say, yeah, wherever you're competing, you have to be in the top of the ladder, and it will always work out for you. So
Mhm.
and that emphasizes the role of this kind of
Mhm.
targeted preparation, so that you know what is upcoming, how to prepare, and use these platforms, maybe with the AI tools and online resources, to prepare well and get your
Yeah.
first job, or maybe
Yes,
progress in
yes.
the job.
So, from what I can make out is like we need to be focusing by being a specialized person, like a go-to expert, whatever we choose, right? As a software engineer or as a software developer at this
Yes, you
point
have to
of time.
be.
Yeah.
I mean, from the juniors, we don't expect them to be a subject matter
Mhm.
expert, but it's just simple thing. If you are standing in a queue of 10
Mhm.
interviewees for a round, for a role, even if there's one role, you have to make sure that you are the first one in that queue. That's a
Yes.
simple thing. That's in our control. That's what we can
Right.
control it, right?
Mhm.
So I mean that if I am as a fresher today from the college, I would not focus on the other aspects which I cannot control. I would control on what is controllable under me, and
Correct.
that's be the first
Yeah.
person in that queue in terms of skills, not in terms of attendance.
Mhm.
And yeah, get
Okay.
that. Even if there's a single role, get
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think, yes, we've got a lot of information about the DSA part of it. I think now let's
Yeah.
focus on the system design. Yes. So I have something for you like, why is that system design is so critical? Like, make or break part of the interview
Mm.
process for SDEs. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, so every domain or the core areas in an interview has a purpose and some metrics to evaluate a candidate, right? So system design is quintessential for the senior roles. The outcome of this round often decides the level of your offer, whether you will be SD2, SD3, principal. So you can imagine its importance. So in the real world, an SD3 or above, be it lead, be it principal, be it staff engineer, the names differ company-wise, but if you put it like a cadence of SD1, SD2, SD3, in the real world, an SD3 and above, they are not expected to just implement a REST API. Let's take a simple example. That's something our SD1 can do, SD2 can do, even nowadays AI coding tools can do even faster, right? But designing that API for scale,
Mm.
considering the rate limiting, considering the security requirements, maintainable code is what is expected from the senior levels. And this all will come from the system design concepts, right? It's a simple example, but in practice, senior engineers at FAANG are often tested on large scale system designs, making the trade-offs, handling the complexity of your design, building the flows, maybe they can serve scale of millions or billions of users. For example, we daily load our Instagram Explore page. Can we load that page in milliseconds? How can we do that? That kind of real world scenario. These all will be solved
Right.
only on the basis of your system design concepts, using obviously DSA and all as a tool. So this round really evaluates if a candidate can architect reliable, scalable systems, not just write the correct code. Here,
Mhm.
candidate can demonstrate like the deep technical understanding, structured thinking, also the practical experience. So, in my opinion, this is the reason why, like considering all this round is always a make and break part of the process.
Yes, 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 yes. I know, because I've been talking to so many engineers, and there are times like only because of the system design round, they've missed an offer. Okay.
Yeah,
They couldn't crack
true.
an interview and they've really lost opportunities. And these are just new graduates. Okay. How could you expect, someone who's a totally fresher to know much about system design? But then they need to know at least a bit of a concept so that they're able to explain well in an interview. So that definitely uh, you know affects the interview process. Yeah.
Yes, I think to double on that point, the level or the we can say the depth of knowledge will vary on the level
Yeah.
on which you're targeting. But you cannot behave like the word is alien to you. When the
Mm.
moment
Yeah.
you add a title software engineer to your like a CV, you should be aware what is a system design, because at the end you're designing systems.
Right.
DSA, data structures, algorithm, they are just a tool which helps you implement. But at the end you're designing a system. A system is what an end customer uses. To what depth is expected, obviously it depends on which level you're coming. A college grad
Yeah.
obviously has a different level of experience, and a staff role will have a different level of expectations at the interview.
Yeah.
So yes, the level will differ, but it's a quintessential part. Even if you're a fresher, you cannot skip that. Okay, I don't know system design. I'm
Yeah.
very good at coding, and I doubt that still there will be a company which will still be hiring them. There will be some or the other way to evaluate some basic concepts of system design which you should be aware of.
Yes, yes, yes. That's very true. So system design has become a part and parcel for every levels. Now, since we're talking about levels and the depth, so could you, go more detail on how does the depth of system design really differ, across levels, be it for an SD1 or SD2 or a SD3 and beyond? Could you explain in, deep dive on this one?
Yeah, yeah, I think you added a good word, deep dive, because this will take. It's very hard to
Mm-hmm.
formulate the whole thing into one thing, but yeah, I'll just give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
So, like one of the biggest mistakes candidates make in system design is either overdoing or underdoing it. And the root cause is lack of clarity about the depth of knowledge expected for the specific role and the target company. Yes, system design expectations, as we said, do increase with seniority. For junior, it's mostly about basic architecture and simple scalability. If you move to SD2 to an SD3, interviewers generally look for deeper trade-offs, performance, reliability considerations, as well as how much is your structured thinking and justification of the design choices is very important. Why are you choosing A versus B? At principal staff levels, it starts, can you think about long-term scalability? What is the cross-team impact and strategic decision making? So maybe let's say, let me take an example. What is a top question? Let's a question like design a URL shortening service. It's a very top question. Everybody must have read it here and there in all online resources. So let's say if I'm taking this interview for a SD1, what will I expect? The candidate is expected to maybe outline the basic components, API endpoint, basic database schema, some simple CRUD operations, handling very basic scaling considerations or edge cases. This is good enough. If he's
Mhm.
covering or if he or she is covering
Yeah.
80% of this is also good enough. But the moment it comes to an SD2 candidate, the focus shifts to scalability, reliability. Is he or she thinking about caching strategies, database sharding,
Mhm.
replication, rate limiting, and some high level trade offs? Now, imagine there's a candidate for SD3 role. Now, I will expect a deep dive into both HLD and LD. Can he dissect his components, optimizing for, let's say, high traffic, designing the queues? There will be some ambiguities which I have left in that question. Can he cater to that? Analytics, data consistency, fault tolerance. They also evaluate like structured reasoning, trade-offs, ability to justify disease, which I said is a very important part for a senior role. Let's say you go to the principal role. Here the discussion is endless. It can move to like system evolution, long-term scalability, capacity planning for the future, tech debt management, cross-team coordination. But the emphasis will be on strategic thinking and influencing large systems. So if you see for a single question, the level and the depth I just tried to cover, like it's different on what we are coming for, but the
Mhm.
question remains the same: design a URL shortening. So if you're just preparing a design a URL shortening from an online resource and it caters only the SD1, you're not ready for the SD3 role. And that's where you need to understand, as I said, you overdo or underdo. You say I've completed a topic, but maybe you are underdoing it, or maybe you are going for SD1 and you have read a good web page with this question for the SD3 level, then you're overdoing it and you're unnecessarily killing your time. So you need to know because different fans have slightly different expectations also. Like if I may take the name, Google and Facebook, they emphasize at times on scale and efficiency. And this I'm telling from my personal experience of
Mhm.
interviewing there or being listening to the interview experience of my friends. Amazon looks for trade-off and ownership. Sometimes at Microsoft, it leans on the practical implementation.
Mhm.
That, okay, where you view. So this kind of insights is also helpful if you're targeting one of these companies. But the takeaway, I would say the key takeaway for the candidate is to tailor your depth of preparation to the role that you're targeting. Understand what level of detail and which aspects of system design is expected for your target role. And this will help you prepare efficiently. So I think, yeah, I mean, just with an example I tried to give, no one can cover it completely because it's a huge thing if you go
Yeah.
into system design depth,
Mhm.
multiple topics. But yeah, as I said, it will always depend at which role you are targeting and how you want to prepare for that particular concept. For the same concept, you can do PhD as well, right? But we don't need it.
Yes, yes. That's true, that's true. But then I think you have really gone in detail about this system design part of it for different levels. So I think we're good. And I think we will now move on to about soft skills, right? So in terms of DSA in an interview process, of course, hiring process, we all, for software engineers, there is a DSA, then system design, and then coming to the last part, which is storytelling. Okay. So those soft skills, communication, that is definitely makes us so much of a difference in an interview. So whereas people just focus on coding or maybe just focus on system design. So what do you have to, if you can give me your insights or overview, why does this become very important? Like the storytelling, the communication, the way we, deliver any message or any interview. Why is that important for any level for a software engineer?
Um, like a lot of candidates, they focus
Mm.
almost entirely on coding, but interviews are as much about how you communicate as what you code as well. So soft skills like storytelling, clarity of thought, structured communication, they do make a huge difference. I mean, you may know a plethora of items, but I would only be able to understand what you were able to communicate to me, right? And unfortunately, we have that 1 hour only to portray what we know. So yes, we cannot overemphasize, but yes, communication plays a very important part. Example, let's say when I ask you, hey, can you explain your past projects, right? It's not enough to just say that I built X. It could be a very technically challenging project and all, but that does not give me a clear picture. Rather, you need to tell a story, standard format, like which everybody knows, star format, situation, task, action, result. But that's just a framework. What was the task? What was the trade-off that you considered? Why you made a certain decisions? What impact it had? Where there are some challenges to your solution? How you adapted? Let's say somebody in the review may have challenged your solution, right? And how did you adapt to it? Sometimes it can also be okay, share your failures. It's fine. Like, even if you took a decision, it backfired, but what was the learning from there? And that's where the storytelling thing comes into picture. It's not like robust, like mundane, okay, I built ABCD and this was the technical things I did. But what was the story behind it? So I think that almost helps every time to drive the point, right? It shows your ownership, your problem solving
Mhm.
ability, your leadership potential, even for the technical rounds as well. And another one big aspect, I would say, which can come under the soft skill is handling ambiguity and thinking aloud. So the interviewers do want to see how you reason, how you are breaking down your problem into small chunks, and also are you adaptable or not to adapt a new solution if you hit a roadblock, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So if you can communicate your approach clearly, engage the interviewer, justify your decisions, it always instantly sets you apart from the other candidates who may be technically strong as you only, but silent or unclear under pressure, and that can help you like differentiate you from the other candidates. So I think yeah, it's a very important aspect, often underplayed, but soft skills like communication, storytelling, the how you portray your knowledge is very important and do makes the difference in interview.
Yeah, I think you definitely, uh, share the differentiation, basically what matters at an interview stage, very nicely, done as such. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. Now, apart from DSA, system design, storytelling, now what is important is, of course, how you communicate, that is fine. But what about a mock interview? Do you think just without any practice, okay, without any practice with a seasoned senior engineer, okay, will that make a difference? Yeah. In interviewing, I'm sure there are more chances that you may not clear the interviews, right? So that is where mock interviews definitely play a big role, right? In helping you having more chances of you clearing those interview. So what unique value does it bring along? Could you, share your feedback, your on that?
Sure. I mean, we all know, right? Practice makes a man, woman equally perfect, right? So yeah, it's an important part of preparation. You have to practice. Now, it could be practicing alone, mock, as you mentioned, the mock. So sometimes maybe you have 20 years experience, you've already given a lot of interviews, you're already taking a lot of interviews. Maybe that constitutes the part of your practice. That also can be considered. So the point is you should have practiced what you're going to play at the ground, right? That's a very important point. So coming back to this practicing alone versus mock, especially like the candidates who feel they're underprepared in terms of practicing. See, it alone is helpful to get your basics right and run through problems. But a mock interview adds a completely different dimension. So, for example, it simulates first of all the real world environment. And the major difference in the real world environment is the same question, but is the pressure, the timing, the back and forth with the interviewer. That plays the crux for which I feel more than 20-30% of the candidates, they are not even ready. They have not practiced that part. And when you, with the same question, the same preparation, the moment you throw these metrics, they lose the track. Example, in a real world, an interviewer will often interrupt you. They will ask focused, in-depth questions, which can derail you from your structured line of thought. You must have prepared, okay, I will go like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I will cover my whole flow. But the interviewer interruption will be there, which is a real world thing, which you have to expect, right? So mocks do help you practice handling those interruptions, answering the specific questions while keeping the bigger picture in mind and then returning back to your originally structured answer. That's where the mock thing will come into that. Apart from that, if you do a mock with a really experienced engineer, it will be incredibly valuable for your preparation in the sense that they will give you some real world insights, the actual thing that happens in a real interview. For example, if I'm taking an interview, what kind of depth I want, where is that ambiguity that I have left deliberately and I want the candidate to address it. At times a candidate may take a particular thread and go very deep into that because he or she is comfortable in that topic, but maybe I want her to come back to the original topic. They may have not finalized the scope of the problem to begin with. So these kind of inputs will always be helpful, which you can get into the mock, which really helps you. And those are those 20% difference of your non-selected to selected criteria. So I think, yeah, I really believe that this mock interview with the experienced engineer who either have worked or have taken interview at that level will be incredibly valuable for the preparation.
Correct. Yeah. I know. I also do believe marks really play so much of a difference when I have seen those experience with my mentees, and there's always been a difference. People with marks have literally cleared interviews, got offers, but without marks, it has been difficult. But there is also this AI mocks which are available in the market, right? So would you be able to differentiate between what is something like a real mock with a senior FAANG engineer or with a senior person, then compared to an AI mock? What do you want to say?
Mm, yeah,
Mhm.
that's a good question. I mean, see, I've not taken them personally, so I'm not able to comment much. But yes, I've heard like there are some AI-based mocks these days, and I must say they can be great for additional practice, and that's important. As I said, you keep practicing with your friends, you keep practicing with these AI mocks, you keep practicing. Some people do practice with this mirror thing in front and all, right? So, as we said, practice always makes you perfect. So the more you practice is going to be helpful, but they cannot replicate the nuanced feedback that a real engineer or experience, I would not say real, I would say the experienced engineer for that particular role and domain can give you. Like as I mentioned, how you approach the trade-offs, explain your reasoning, recover when you get stuck. That kind of feedback, I'm not sure. The AI has not adapted to that level that it gives that real nuanced feedback. That's why a mock with an experienced fine engineer, someone who has been through that interviews, is often much more helpful because it will give you some actionable insights, realistic pressure, and also personalized guidance. AI works on the prompts, right? Like I worked on a couple of AI agents and all on the back end. They have those predefined prompts, but a person-to-person situation differs. Maybe you are good at something which in my mock has already covered, but you are lacking in some skills which my mock prompts does not cover. Like, sorry, my AI prompt does not cover. So maybe that feedback will never be shared with you, right? So that's why I feel it's far more valuable for a serious preparation that you go with this real world mocks with the real engineers, with the experienced engineers. Along with that, try to cover that up, like because you cannot take, let's say, infinite sessions with the real person, right? But with the self mocks or with the AI mocks, the best thing is that you can keep practicing the same thing again and again. Maybe to how to just like a structure your thought within 45 minutes, how to solve a problem along with making the interviewer understand and code it parallelly in 18, 20 minutes, a DSA problem. This kind of time-based preparation you can do, but for sure, I don't think that it can replace the real engineer, the actual person feedback kind of mocks.
Oh, yeah. So you actually nailed it right. Yes. So with AI mocks, there could be generic feedback, not real feedback. Real actionable
Yep,
feedback would be definitely done by a real person, like real person. So that makes a difference. And so AI is fine when you want to take a couple of more interviews, but after you have a proper mock with a person, with a real person, I think you should be fine taking a few AI marks. That's okay. But then at least initially you should be able to practice with senior engineers because they are the people who are in the panel, who are in the interview panel. So they are in the right place to tell you where you're going wrong, where do you need to focus.
exactly.
So they can give
Yeah.
you the right actionable feedback, right? Yes.
Yep.
So yes, okay. So okay, coming to the last question. Yes, I have okay. So you've been a senior member of Salesforce and as well as with Microsoft interview panel, right? With the FANG interview panel. So what common mistakes do you see candidates making, mistakes during interviews? Could you list a few of them? Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, off lately I've been into these companies, but if you know, like, like I've been taking interviews for over a decade now, like from the early second year onwards of my working experience. So I started with taking those elimination round, the first that the junior developers generally take the HD2 state based on the DSA and all the way to off lately taking the final bar raiser rounds even for the lead roles and all, right? So along the way, yes, I have noticed a bunch of mistakes that candidates commonly make, and I picked up quite a few lessons for myself as well, so that I use them in my real world interviews in the future whenever I gave them. So to just on the top of the mind to call out a few, so I would rather go with like maybe some rounds specific. So let's say for the DSA round, if I have to pinpoint one major mistake that maximum candidates do is The moment they see the question, because you are well prepared, you have practiced a lot of lead code problems and all, the moment you see a question, they directly jump straight into the coding without a clear approach. Because sometimes they think, okay, I know this question, this was like this only, and I will start coding. Maybe the interviewer has asked a slight variant of that. So many candidates, they don't take the time to clarify the constraints, discuss the trade-offs, or explain their thought process. So if there's some difference from the question that they have practiced, the interview will clarify, and that will help them adapt their solution, right? So that is one of the major mistake I see in the DSA round. Interviewers are not looking at how you think. I mean, interviewers are looking at how you think and structure a solution and not just the final code, right? If you go to the next round, let's say some LLD rounds, here the candidates often they dive too quickly into the implementation details because they think 45 minutes is the crunch, I have to implement a low-level code. Rather than establishing a clean design first, they may miss modularity, maintainability, and proper data structures, which is critical at this level because once you have a bird's eye view, what are the components, then it's easier to implement. Sometimes I have seen that candidates are not able to implement it end to end, but since they have given me a very good thought process and the complete structure of their code that they want to implement, as I said previously, it is not expected from the SD3 to implement these things at the core level. If he knows what he's doing, even they may take help of someone like a SD1s and SD2s to implement the thing. And then coming to the high level design rounds, a common pitfall is focusing only on the individual components or ignoring the real world scalability and reliability concerns, right? Some candidates also forget to even discuss the trade-offs, system constraints, failure scenarios, which are very essential for the senior roles. And if I may, like just pinpoint at very senior level, also I've seen people often miss to include observability and analytics framework to their design. So if you see the round specific mistakes that people do make, and that obviously these are mistakes at times prove very costly and are often the reasons for rejection, which candidates are not aware. Hey, I gave a good interview, I completed the question, why was I rejected? So these are, yeah, I mean, you have to understand as a candidate that these mistakes are less about solving the problem incorrectly, and it's more about how you are structuring your thought process, communicating, demonstrating the right depth for each round. And if you're aware of these patterns, they help you, like, they can make a huge difference in your interview performance, right? So that you don't do these mistakes and come out good of the round. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know, I think you did go deep dive into this. So thanks for answering this. And I think we've come to the end of it, of this podcast. So maybe, before we end, I would definitely want to talk a little bit about our mentorship sessions that we offer. So I'll just walk through, first is, of course, what we offer, as well as what
Mhm.
is so different than the other our competitors or the ones who are offering other mentorship programs. Okay, so why are we different? So anyway, I'll just start over. So I wanted to say, like, with the type of candidates we have seen, no candidate is similar. So everyone are different. Everyone have different gaps. They have different strengths, and they do have different timeline. So it may not be the same for all of them. And we know that dream offers, of course, they do not happen overnight. It takes some time. Okay, so that is why we have come up with this roadmap of a 90-day, at least a 60-day to 90-day roadmap, mentorship roadmap, so that we help an engineer at every stage of the hiring process. Okay, so what we do first is, of course, we fill the skill gaps. Okay, we do identify gaps in their knowledge or experience, okay, or the skills, and then we help them meet that by structured training, okay, and helping to upskill so that they achieve those professional goals. Okay, and of course, so the main thing is we build the foundation,
Mhm.
we help them, we train them, we upskill them, and master the fundamentals. And we see to it that this is done step by step so that you win, finally, reach the goal of getting the offer. Okay. So this is like, of course, in terms of concepts. So we can say, like, we help you master technical interviews for system design, be it DSA, and of course, behavioral interviews. So wherein you do a lot of mock sessions, and so the end result is you get clear, actionable feedback so that you are able to land your dream tech job. Okay. And the other thing is that we always match you with a mentor. okay, who has been on both the side of the table. So who has been an engineer, but also, who's gone through this process, and of course, who
Makes
is
sense.
also on the other side, the hiring panel, so that he knows what are the interviewing viewers are looking for. So you get both the side aspects, okay? So as far as it is never instant results. I've seen so many people, someone who's really strong in coding, system design, but then he is literally, he doesn't know how to put across, doesn't have the clarity or how to put across, communicate well. For them, okay, we can just work on their communication skills, the STAR methodology,
Yes.
help them, work around how do you go about delivering an interview, right? In terms, and then it works for them. In that case, just working on mock sessions is more than enough because they are good on, they have a
Yeah.
good coding and system design background, so they are good. But someone who's not good in coding, or maybe they're good in doing easy problems, okay, they still need to work on the medium, yes, or the
Yeah.
hard problems. So that is where we definitely work on them. We give them training or work on real problem solving every session, okay, and then once we give them a time frame of at least a month so that they spend in at least 3 to 4 hours every day coding, okay, and then
Mhm.
we also work on the system design. Okay, so if there is some skill gap on system design, they would also work on system design side by side. So within a period of 30 days, they have already come to a level where they are good in coding as well as they have all the fundamentals of system design in place. And that's when we start introducing mock. Okay, so that would be for the next 30 days. We work on
Makes
that.
sense.
And at the same time, we also look at the resume review, we do the LinkedIn profile, we work around all these aspects. I also work on the job search and networking too. Okay, how do
Yeah.
you go about networking so that you are able to network with recruiters or hiring managers and able to get calls. Okay, so this is like a whole process, right? So I would say this is like a 7-step mentorship program. So it includes right from resume to LinkedIn to networking, job search, system design, and anything. If you have any gap in machine learning, well, in machine learning for that matter, or if you're targeting AI engineering, yes, in AI for that matter. So this is an all-round program and where we help you over a period of 60 to 90 days timeline. So we give you a customized mentorship so that the main goal is you are able to clear the interview. Okay.
Makes
And
sense.
we will not let you go. Like, it's not that, okay, you do a course, it's a one-on-one mentorship. So you have regular check-ins with me and also as other senior FAANG engineers. So you know where
Mhm.
you are, where you stand every week,
Yeah.
every month. Okay. So the bottom line is at the end of the 90 days, there are more chances that you land up an interview. Okay. And most of our engineers who are a part of our community have landed 120 to 200K offers in under 3 months. Okay. And even in this
So
tough
good.
market. Yeah. Okay. So Rajesh, yes, I think we have had a great podcast today. So learned a lot from you and a lot of information for our software engineers and for our community. I just one question for you, like if you had to give one piece of advice to anyone aspiring to crack FAANG interviews, what would that be?
If I have to give like just one piece of advice, it would be like I think the most important part is like be deliberate and structured about your preparation. See,
Mm-hmm.
most candidates they fail not because they can't code, just
Mm-hmm.
because their preparation is scattered. They're jumping between random lead code problems, giving AI
Yeah.
mocks here and there, vague system design reading. Because we
Mm-hmm.
know internet has a plethora of resources. People keep scattered, like people get scattered resources and they jump around.
Right.
So I feel that is the major problem. And remember, your target is to crack the interview, not do a PhD
Mm-hmm.
on a particular topic, right? So figure out what's critical for your level, company, set out a clear timeline, track your
Mm-hmm.
progress, and stick to your structured plan. In the end, I feel like targeted focus, a purposeful preparation, it will beats hours of random practice every single time. So as you mentioned, like there are a lot of recorded sessions and AI mocks here and there. Yes, they are good to fill up on a particular topic if you want. But if you want to do the whole preparation on that basis, unless you have a very good plan, I have seen that happening a lot of times, that people are into that
Mhm.
viscous circle, that they keep reading about the stuffs and more than 6 months, and now they've forgotten what they read 6 months before. And it's not a targeted approach. Maybe they have read about more on the DP, but the company in which they are trying to go for
Right.
the interview, they ask onto the data graphs kind of data structures, right? Or it could be in any domain. So I would say if there's one piece, it would be like you have to be very structured about your preparation and very much targeted, because generally a targeted focused preparations always bring results. Yeah, that would be one piece of advice I would say.
Yes, yes. Actually, you really nailed that. Yes, structure, discipline, that is definitely important. Putting in that many hours of work, if it is DSA, 3 hours, 4 hours per day. Yes, that is perfect. That is what you said was right. So thank you so much, Rajesh, for these invaluable insights for our future software engineers who are navigating this one of the worst, or I would say challenging market that we have at this point of time. And that's
Yeah.
definitely a great lot of information for our subscribers also.
Yeah, it's been great being here, Lakshmi, and sharing some of my experiences. And I would like to kudos to you for this initiative. Your platform can be a big help for the candidates, giving them the right focus and confidence to achieve their dream offer. So all the best to all those future candidates and to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And subscribers, please do check out our 101 mentorship program with our team of FAANG engineers and mock interviews to land tech jobs in FAANG and other top tech companies through us. Find the details in the description section. You're also welcome to connect with us on our free newsletter on LinkedIn and Substack, and follow us on our Instagram account. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel also. Okay, so that this benefits all our engineers in this market. Thank you again. Thanks for watching. And until next time, keep learning and keep growing. Bye for now.
Thank you.